All right, everyone, ready to get your passport stamped. Because today, we're diving deep into all things Europe travel trends.
Yeah, we're going way past those brochure photos you always see. You know, those ones,
Oh, yeah.
the Eiffel Tower, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, all that.
With the perfect sunset.
Yeah, we're going beyond that today. We're looking at the European Travel Commission's latest report. They've got all the data on who's going to Europe, why they're going, and even how much they're budgeting to spend per day.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm always curious about that daily budget. It tells you a lot about someone's travel style, I think.
Absolutely.
So, big picture, we're talking fall 2024 travel here, those September to December trips. What's the overall outlook looking like?
So, fewer people overall are planning to visit Europe compared to last year.
Interesting.
Only about 40% of people from these key countries we're looking at are considering Europe.
Okay, so a bit of a dip in those European adventures. Any idea where those hesitant travelers are coming from?
Yeah, a lot of it's coming from the U.S., actually. Really? Yeah. The U.S. has actually seen the most dramatic drop in interest compared to last fall.
Wow, okay. So last year, how many Americans were planning trips to Europe?
It was 41%.
Yeah.
So pretty much on par with the overall trend this year.
Okay.
This year, it's down to 23%.
Oh, wow. So almost cut in half. What's behind such a big change?
Well, I think part of it is costs.
Yeah.
Everything's more expensive. I mean, flights, accommodation, food.
Yeah, even just that cup of coffee in the morning.
Right, exactly. It all adds up.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you've got the U.S. election coming up.
Right, that's true.
So maybe people are being a little more cautious with their spending.
Yeah, it makes sense. Election years always make people a little bit more hesitant,
Absolutely.
uncertain about the future.
Yeah, and when you're uncertain about the future, maybe you're not booking that big European vacation.
Right. So less American tourists, maybe, but that doesn't mean Europe's empty, right? Who's picking up the slack?
Well, China is more than picking up the slack.
Oh, real.
They are all about Europe this year.
That's awesome. Why Europe, though?
Well, a couple of things. For one thing, China's Golden Week holiday is in early October,
Okay, right.
and that's their prime travel time.
Like their summer break, almost.
Yeah, exactly. It's like their summer break. Everybody's traveling, and Europe is at the top of their list.
Makes sense. So it's a good time to go if you're Chinese.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not only that, but there are also a lot more direct flights from China to Europe now than there used to be.
That'll do it. Nobody wants a layover when you're going that far, right?
Nobody wants a layover.
Okay, so we've got China all about those European adventures, the U.S. maybe not so much. Let's zoom in on some of those national differences the report breaks down.
Yeah, let's do it.
Starting with China, just how big is this wave of Chinese tourism to Europe?
It's a big one. 83% of Chinese travelers in the report are planning to visit Europe this fall.
83%. That's amazing.
A big jump, too. Up 9% from last fall.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, it's not just like one age group either. It's
Oh.
everyone. Young people, older people, it's across the board.
Wow. So Europe is really having a moment with the Chinese travelers. What about Brazil? Are they feeling the European love?
Brazil is interesting. They're kind of on the fence.
Okay, how so?
Well, their travel intentions to Europe were pretty much the same as last year.
Yeah.
About half the people they talked to were considering a European vacation.
Okay.
The catch is the cost.
Yeah.
It's a really big factor for Brazilians.
Well, yeah, I mean, those flights from Brazil to Europe are no joke.
Exactly. They're long flights, and they're expensive.
Yeah. Do we know if it's mostly people who've already been to Europe, or is it a lot of first-timers?
That's the thing. It's mostly first-timers. It's 61%, which is really high.
Wow. That's amazing, though. Their first time in Europe. That's so exciting.
It is really cool. So yeah, I think for Brazilians, it's really about finding that balance. Like, they want to go, but they've also got to make it work financially.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've got China all in, Brazil maybe planning that dream trip. What about our neighbors to the north? Are Canadians packing their bags for Europe?
Canada's kind of surprising, actually. You'd think with more flights going back and forth between Canada and Europe, more Canadians would be going right.
Yeah, you'd think so.
But it's actually the opposite. Their travel intentions for Europe are kind of, I don't know.
Flat.
Yeah, they're pretty flat.
Huh. Why do we think that is?
Well, remember a few months ago when the Canadian government issued those travel advisories
Oh, right, yeah.
about certain European countries,
Yeah?
warning people about safety and stuff? I think that probably made some Canadians rethink their travel plans.
Yeah, you don't want to mess around with safety. Plus, I mean, let's be real. Canada is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe some people are thinking, why go all the way to Europe when I can just explore my own backyard?
Right. They've got the Rocky Mountains.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe not as much travel to Europe for Canadians. What about Australia? They're practically on the other side of the world.
I know, right? Talk about a long flight.
Okay, so what's the report saying about Australians? Are they still into those European adventures?
You know, they're definitely loyal to Europe. About a third of Australians are still considering Europe for their fall travels.
Okay, so pretty similar to last year then.
Yeah, pretty much the same as last year. What's interesting is that a lot of those Australians, about 64%, are repeat visitors.
Yeah, makes sense. Once you've had that European experience, you get hooked.
Exactly.
But even for repeat visitors, those flights from Australia must be a budget killer.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, even if you've been there before and you know you love it,
Yeah.
that's a long way to go, and it's expensive.
Right.
So I think some Australians are also looking at other options this year. Places that are maybe a little bit easier on the wallet, you know?
Yeah, gotta follow those travel deals sometimes. Okay, so we've talked about China, Brazil, Canada, Australia. Who are we missing?
We've got to talk about Japan.
Yeah.
Remember how we said they were pumping the brakes on those European trips?
Oh, right, yeah.
They are really hitting the brakes, like slamming them on.
Oh, wow. Seriously, like they're not going to Europe at all.
Well, not quite, but it's a pretty big drop.
Okay, so what are we talking numbers-wise?
Well, a whopping 70% of Japanese travelers said they're done with long-haul trips for the rest of this year.
Wow. 70%. That's almost everybody.
Yeah, it is. And out of everyone who is still planning long-haul, only 17% are even considering Europe.
Okay, so that's down from last year.
Yeah, down 8% from last fall.
Wow, that's a big difference. What's going on there? Why are Japanese travelers avoiding Europe?
It's a perfect storm of, well, not so great things if you're trying to travel.
Oh, no.
First, the Japanese yen is pretty weak right now,
Okay.
so that makes travel more expensive.
Right.
Then you've got some economic anxieties, and on top of all that, they just don't get that much vacation time.
Oh, so they're dealing with the triple whammy: expensive travel, not a lot of money to spend, and they don't have a lot of time to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Europe is kind of getting pushed to the back burner, unfortunately.
That's rough. Okay, so it sounds like even though people want to travel, real life has other plans sometimes.
Yeah, unfortunately. Travel is expensive no matter what,
Right, and it's not always easy to make it work.
for sure.
Okay, so for those who are planning those amazing European vacations, what can you tell us about what they're hoping to do? Who are they traveling with? What are they most excited about?
Ooh, let's get into it. This is the fun part.
Right, let's talk travel styles.
So one thing's for sure, most people are heading to Europe for vacation.
Yeah, makes sense. It's not really the business hub of the world, is it?
No, really.
Yeah.
78% of travelers said vacation is the main reason for their trip.
I can get behind that.
Okay,
But
Pam.
vacations can look pretty different, right? Are people going solo, bringing the whole family? What are we seeing?
Yeah, it really runs the gamut. For example, Canadians, they are all about those solo trips.
Really? More than other countries?
Yeah, they're leading the pack for sure. Like almost a quarter of them are planning solo trips.
22% to be exact. I guess when you're from a country that's beautiful and huge, you get used to exploring.
Right. Like they've got that adventurous spirit.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so some people want to explore on their own, but a lot of people go on vacation with family too. Any trends there?
Yeah, for family trips, you're more likely to be traveling with Brazilians and Australians this fall.
Okay, so like family vacations to Europe.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if they're hitting up those theme parks.
Oh, for sure. I'd be hitting up all the theme parks if I was a kid in Europe.
Right. What kid wouldn't want to go to, like Disneyland Paris?
Exactly. And those chocolate factories.
Oh, yeah, don't forget about the chocolate. Okay, so solo trips, family trips. What about friend groups?
Oh, yeah, those are big for Japanese and South Korean travelers. They love a good friend trip.
So fun. Makes those travel memories even better, you know?
Absolutely. Plus, you've got your own personal photographer.
That's the most important part. Okay, so we know who people are traveling with, but what about how they're planning their trips? Are they all about those DIY itineraries, or are they all in on those package deals?
You know, it's funny. More and more people seem to be going for those package deals.
Really? Why do we think that is?
I think people just want things to be easy, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, especially if you're traveling a long way,
Right.
the last thing you want to do is have to figure out all the logistics when you're jet lagged and, in a foreign country.
Totally. It's like sometimes you just want someone to tell you where to be and when.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me what to do, where to go.
Yeah, I just want to show up. Okay, so we're seeing more package deals. Is that across the board, or is one country really into it?
China. Big time.
Hmm.
70% of Chinese travelers said they're into package deals over planning everything themselves.
Wow, 70%. That's a lot. It makes sense, though. It's a long trip. Might as well make it as easy on yourself as possible, right?
Right. Okay, so once those travelers land in Europe, what are they most excited about doing? Like, what's on their European bucket list?
What are the must-sees and must-dos? Let's hear it. Okay, so package deals. Makes sense. But what about budgeting? Like, are people splurging or are they watching their wallets? Especially with how expensive everything is these days.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone's thinking about their budget these days. And, that kind of ties into another big trend we're seeing, responsible travel.
Ooh, okay. So less about treat yourself and more about being mindful about how we travel.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how can we explore the world without, breaking the bank?
Yeah.
Or the planet, for that matter.
Okay, so less champagne wishes and caviar dreams, more like budget-friendly train rides through the countryside.
There you go. You
Yeah,
get it. So one thing we're seeing with this whole responsible travel thing is people being more open to off-season travel.
Oh, interesting. So like skipping those peak summer crowds.
Exactly. Like, think about it. You go to Europe in the off-season,
Yeah.
fewer crowds,
Way fewer crowds.
cheaper prices.
Oh, always a bonus.
You might even get better weather depending on where you go.
That's true. Okay, so more people are into that shoulder season travel. Is that like everyone, or are there some holdouts?
It's pretty much everyone. Almost like 60% of travelers are open to traveling during the off-season.
Okay, so the majority are on board. Anyone's still clinging to that peak season magic?
You know who it is, Renaud.
Let me guess.
China.
China. They want that sunshine. They want those crowds, I guess.
Yeah, they want that classic European experience.
Exactly. I mean, it makes sense. They're traveling a long way to get there, so they want to make the most of it.
Right, you want that guarantee of good weather when you're traveling that far. Okay, so maybe not everyone's sold on off-season travel, but it's good to know people are thinking about it.
Absolutely.
What about the environmental side of things? Are travelers thinking about their carbon footprint when planning a trip to Europe?
Yeah, for sure. That's a big one, right? I mean, everybody knows that flying is, well, not great for the environment.
Yeah, there's no getting around that. But you know what? It's really interesting. Even though people know that flying is bad for the planet,
Yeah.
they still prioritize convenience and speed when it comes to actually booking those flights.
Makes sense. It's that classic dilemma. Do you choose what's easy or what's right? And sometimes what's easy wins out.
Yeah, and it's not even just flights. It's everything.
Yeah.
Like, people will choose a faster train over a slower one, even if the slower one is better for the environment.
Oh, 100%. It's like that whole thing about how people say they want to be more eco-friendly,
Right,
but then when it comes down to it, they're not actually changing their habits.
exactly. And you see that reflected in the data. It's like 64% of travelers still say that speed and ease of travel is their top priority.
Wow. That's a lot of people.
It is. But, it's not all doom and gloom. Like, there are definitely some positive signs out there.
Oh, good. Give me some hope here.
Okay, so remember how we were talking about those regional differences?
Yeah.
Like how Chinese travelers are all about peak season? Well, it turns out they're also the ones who care the most about sustainable travel.
Interesting. Okay.
Like, they're more likely to choose eco-friendly accommodations and transportation, even if it costs a little bit more.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. So even though they're not giving up those summer vacations, they're making an effort to be more mindful about their impact while they're there.
Exactly. They're thinking about the bigger picture, which is really cool to see. Okay, one last thing before we wrap up. Let's talk about supporting local businesses. Is that something travelers are thinking about when they go to Europe?
Ooh, yeah, that's a big one. Are
That's-
people ditching the big chain restaurants and hotels trying to find those local gems?
It's a tough one, right?
Yeah,
Because on the one hand, you've got those familiar brands.
totally.
You kind of know what to expect. And then
Wow.
on the other hand, there are those amazing, unique local businesses just waiting to be discovered.
Right. It's that balance between going with what you know and trying something new.
Yeah, and honestly, it's pretty much an even split. Like, almost half of the people we looked at, 48%, said they prefer to stick with those global brands.
Okay, so familiarity wins out for some people.
For sure. But then on the flip side, you've got 52% who say, you know what, I'm here to support local.
I love that. So it's almost like a tie between those who like their familiar comforts and those who are all about that local love.
Pretty much.
This whole deep dive into European travel trends has been amazing. We've gone from those big picture stats about who's traveling where,
Yeah.
all the way to those little details about how people are actually experiencing their trips.
Totally. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is just how much travel has changed, even in the past couple of years.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, people are thinking about their impact on the world in a whole new way. They want to travel sustainably. They want to support local communities.
Yeah,
They're looking for something more than just a vacation. They want an experience.
I love that. And what better place to find those incredible experiences than in Europe, right? With its rich history, diverse cultures, and breathtaking landscapes, Europe really does offer something for everyone.
It really does.
So, listeners, whether you're already daydreaming about strolling through a Parisian market or you're more of a hike the Swiss Alps kind of traveler, remember this. The most important thing is to find what makes you feel alive, what sparks your sense of adventure.
Yes. And don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. Try something new. Talk to the locals. Get lost in a new city. You never know what amazing discoveries are waiting for you.
Love that. Well said. This has been so much fun. For all of you listening, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you planning a trip to Europe this year? What are you most excited about? What travel dilemmas are you facing? Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, safe travels, everyone, whether you're exploring a new corner of the world, your own city, or just the depths of your own imagination.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the future of travel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more insights and updates. Visit Tourism, Capturing the Scene of Knowledge, a comprehensive website delivering the latest travel trends and innovations. Accelerate your mastery of the tourism industry, all in one place. Navigate through a vast showcase of comprehensive business-oriented tourism content, 99% pure industry intelligence, and 1% academic, curated for discerning professionals. Why subscribe to Tourism? Capturing the Scene of Knowledge. Make informed decisions. Instantly access key reports and insights from top sources across the tourism industry. No research required. All in one place. Why split your attention? A single subscription gives you easy access to thousands of reports, videos, and infographics just as effortlessly as watching a 30-second ad. Save time with curated searches. Time is money. Let our subscription save you both by delivering valuable insights directly without the endless search. Until next time, happy travels.